A lot of you are investing in the stock market, but you're making some very, very common mistakes. And two of them stood out to me. If you're new to me, hey, go ahead. My name is Malika, and I'm a money coach. I get to help women relieve the anxiety they have about the stock market because it's not as complicated as the finance bros make it seem. I help women learn to invest in the stock market and build a portfolio beyond six figures so you can achieve your dreams of financial freedom. But if you would just like to kick back and hang out with me because you're new to my channel and you want to hear some conversations about investing in personal finance and financial freedom, subscribe to the channel and become a financial bestie. So welcome, welcome, welcome. A lot of you are investing in the stock market, but you're making some very, very common mistakes. The first one was my sisters that are opening up the Roth IRA and not investing your money, and you're wondering about why your money isn't growing. I explained that in the beginning of this video. But the second thing that stood out to me, that's just a little concerning, is I see a lot of young sisters who are starting to invest, and you're putting your money in very, very conservative things like a target fund, a life cycle fund. And it's something that's like a life cycle fund 2025. That is usually a default pot of money that people will put their money into because they don't know what else to put their money into, and it looks relatively safe. The reason why it's safe, because a life cycle fund or a target fund, what that is like a basket of stocks, kind of like an index fund or an ETF or a mutual fund. And what it does is it shifts the risk for you from high risk to no risk. Well, I won't say no risk. All investing has risk. From high risk to lower risk based on the target date that you say you're planning to retire. So if it is now 2024, almost 2025, and you invest your money in a target fund 2026 or a life cycle fund 2026, what you're telling the system is that I'm planning to retire in 2026. So your money is not going to be invested in anything that's growth. It's going to be invested in very, very conservative things, probably like a bond, probably like a money market fund or something like that. That's going to give you a little tiny bit of growth because you're shifting from growth to conservation because you're telling the system you're planning to retire in 2026. So when I see young sisters, and I say young, like my age, or even a little older, if you're in your 40s, or even if you're in your early 50s and you're investing in a target fund or a life cycle fund in the year that you have selected is like 1 or 2 years out, that's why your money isn't growing. That's essentially putting your money in a savings account. So if you're too conservative, you don't want to take any risk, you also are not going to see any growth in your portfolio either. So when you're sending me messages, Malika, I'm investing, but my money isn't growing, and I ask you what you're investing in, and you say a life cycle fund or a target fund, and I ask you the year, and you say 2026 or 2027, that's why it's not growing because you're too conservative. All investing has risk. I will not lead you wrong. You put your money into the stock market, there's always a potential risk of loss. But when you learn how to invest, when you learn strategy, you can learn how to manage the risk because you want growth. You don't want to invest and be conservative. You might just keep your money in a savings account if you want to be that conservative. If you want growth, you have to learn the strategies. You have to learn how to manage risk. You can't be so risk averse that you hold on to every dollar and you're not willing to take any losses. Because if you're not willing to take any losses, you're not going to have any gains. It's kind of like, keeping your fist balled up, trying to hold on to every dollar that you have. If you're holding on to every dollar that you have, how can it grow? How can it grow if you're holding on to everything so tightly, right? So when you join my coaching program, I teach you how to manage the risk, right? I teach you how to balance risk with growth. So the fears that you have that make you want to hold on to the money is understandable if you're not familiar with the stock market. But you have to be able to loosen up the reins a little bit. Get out of those life cycle funds. Get out of those target funds and expose your money to assets that are going to grow and create what I call the money babies for you. But you got to loosen the reins just a little bit. You can't be in your 40s and 50s in a life cycle 2026 target fund. You're not going to grow your money that way, right? Anytime you tell me your money isn't growing, it's usually one of those two things. You haven't invested it yet, the money is just sitting in your settlement account, or you're investing and you're investing very, very, very conservatively. Now, if you're in your 60s and your 70s, by all means, be conservative, sis. You need your money now. You're in the drawdown phase. But if you're in your 50s and younger, you're still in the growth phase. You're still in the accumulation phase. You should not be holding on to your money that tightly. Your money needs room to grow.
And if there's anyone that isn't investing or is investing, but you're not really sure if you're doing it right, and you want to learn how to invest in the stock market or how to improve your current strategy, I have decided to host the Your Road to 100K live training on November 11th through the 13th. And in the 3-day live training, you're going to learn 3 things. I commit to teaching you how to navigate the stock market so you're no longer confused by the finance bro language and so that you don't fear making expensive investing mistakes. I will commit to teaching you how to start investing and building your portfolio with ease, meaning no extensive research, no reading financial reports, no watching the stock market, watching the charts all day long. You ain't got to do that. I promise you, you don't. And the third thing I commit to teaching you is how to implement the investing strategy that I used when I first started investing. I retired at 48 years old. Enrollment is now open, and I'm going to share the registration link, and I'm also going to put it in the description of this video. And for those of you in the chat that did the last live training, let the besties know what you thought of the live training. Hey, Deneen, you love the 100K live training. I'm so happy to hear that. Yes. See my besties coming through. The live training was everything. Learned a whole lot and was encouraged to invest regardless of your age. Yes, I love it. Venus Kirby, the 100K challenge was awesome. I've been consistently investing ever since. Yes. Your Road to 100K live training, November 11th through the 13th. Enrollment is open now. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments. Let's talk about it.